Breaking news, folks. Just in the last 24 to 48 hours, under President Donald Trump's America, while the White House is focused on rebuilding strength here at home, the earth itself is breaking apart underneath our feet. A 6.0 earthquake just rocked Nevada, and this wasn't just a shake. In fact, reports are saying that the ground is literally splitting open, tearing apart highways, cracking the desert, and rattling fault lines that scientists have been warning us about for years. But here's the part that should terrify you. In fact, the experts are saying this is not the end. In fact, it's not even the worst of it. They're calling the swarm of quakes a warning shot. What's coming next could dwarf this 6.0 and set off a disaster unlike anything the United States has ever seen in modern history. And it gets even crazier than that because while Nevada shakes, strange tsunami-like waves are being reported deep underground in the desert, wiping out rare fish species in Devil's Hole. That's right, guys. Tsunamis in the middle of Nevada. Now, if that sounds insane to you, wait until you hear why scientists believe that it's connected to earthquakes happening thousands of miles away in Russia, in Japan, and the Pacific. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think is really causing all of this really odd, suspicious, and peculiar earth behavior and earthquakes? Tonight, I'm going to dive into all of it, the ground tearing apart, the hidden multi-faults beneath Nevada, the warnings that scientists say prove that this is only the beginning, and what it means for America's future. Hit the like button, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys. All right. So under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump, America's rebuilding and we're pushing for resilience like never before. But while Washington fights to restore strength, the very earth beneath our feet is rebelling. Just a few hours ago, a 6.0 earthquake erupted in Nevada. Now, think about that, guys. Not California, not Alaska, not Japan, but Nevada. This is a state that so many Americans thought of as safe from the big faults. Sure, there's the Grand Canyon, but this is a place that people moved to believing that they had escaped the danger of the San Andreas. That myth just died today. And so here's the urgency. This wasn't just some isolated tremor. No, this was the climax of a relentless swarm that has been battering Nevada since Thursday. Now, we're talking dozens and dozens of earthquakes, anywhere from 1.9 up to past 5.3, pounding the same stretch of desert over and over again like a drum beat from hell. Then, boom, the 6.0 hit. Witnesses and scientists alike, they're warning the ground is literally tearing apart. And so with the ground tearing apart, do you remember 2020 when Nevada roads cracked open and fissures stretched across the sand like scars? Well, we're seeing that threat return. Locals are reporting fresh splits in the earth, warnings of highways giving away, and geologists are reminding us the Valmy region sits on fault lines capable of unleashing a 7.7 magnitude monster. So let me ask you, what happens if the so-called safe zone isn't safe at all? What happens if Nevada itself, once seen as America's earthquake refuge, is actually sitting on the next ticking time bomb? Now, drop me your comment down below, guys. Where are you watching from? Is anyone in Nevada right now? Do you know any family members, friends that are living in Nevada right now? Because tonight, folks, it looks like that bomb just went off. And scientists are whispering that this is only the beginning. Now, if you think that that's shocking, if you think that the ground splitting in Nevada is terrifying, wait until you hear the craziest twist. Because these quakes in Nevada, they're not just cracking roads. They're creating something almost impossible to believe. Tsunami waves in the desert. And I'm going to go ahead and break that down for you guys just a second. How these earthquakes thousands of miles away are sending shockwaves straight into Nevada, wiping out rare species and leaving scientists scrambling for answers. Now, trust me, guys, you're not going to want to miss this part. Imagine opening your mailbox and finding a surprise medical bill for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars with your name on it. Now, you thought your plan was covering it, but it didn't. And now it's too late. You're on the hook. This is why I partnered with Chapter. Their advisors, they comb through the fine print so that you're never blindsided like this. One of our viewers said, I didn't even know I was paying extra until Chapter explained it. They fixed it and saved me money. So let me ask you this. Are you willing to gamble with surprise bills, unexpected bills, or would you rather just do what most people are already doing? They're calling Chapter before that happens. Now, most people are dialing the number on the bottom of your screen right there. Others are just going to askchapter.org/Ron. It's completely free to contact my folks at Chapter, completely free for the Ron Yates community. And you can dial the number on your screen below, 909-563-8279 for your help with Medicare. So, all right, guys, buckle up because this whole next part, it sounds so absolutely unbelievable. Like, people thought it had to be fake news, like it was some AI or something like that, but it's real. It's documented and it's happening right here in America's desert. I'm talking about tsunamis in Nevada. Yes, guys, you heard me right. Waves crashing, water surging in the middle of the freaking desert. Here's how it works, okay? So in Death Valley National Park, there is a place called Devil's Hole. There's a very deep, mysterious cavern filled with water of unknown depth. Inside lives one of the rarest fish species in the entire world, the Devil's Hole pupfish. Now, scientists monitor it 24/7. Cameras are rolling day in and day out, running during the day. They run through the night. And what those cameras have captured, they're going to leave you stunned. Every time a megaquake happens somewhere around the globe, Japan, Myanmar, Indonesia, even as far away as Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, the shock waves ripple through the earth. So where do they show up? Well, they show up right there in Devil's Hole. The cameras caught these massive waves, some as high as 4 feet, smashing against the cavern walls hundreds of miles inland. Now, take a second and think about that for a second, okay? A quake on the other side of the Pacific shakes the Nevada desert so violently that it creates a mini tsunami, thrashing its tiny ecosystem. The result? Catastrophe. The algae mats that feed the pupfish were ripped away. In just 1 year, the population crashed from over 200 fish to only 20. Biologists had to scramble to throw food in the water to keep the species alive. This is how fragile and how powerful these connections are. So now, zoom out for a second, okay? If earthquakes thousands of miles away can cause tsunamis in Nevada's desert pools, then what happens when Nevada itself is in the epicenter? What happens when it's not just waves that are traveling from Kamchatka or Japan, or energy exploding under our own soil? Well, if Devil's Hole pulpfish nearly went extinct just from these distant tremors from like thousands of miles away, then what would a direct Nevada megaquake do to our dams? How about our cities? How about our power grids, right? So that brings us to what the scientists are saying now, because they're saying flat out that this is only the beginning. Now, here's why. Because Nevada sits in the middle of what's called the Basin and Range Province. Many of you have heard of it. For millions of years, the Earth's crust here has been stretching like some pull taffy, right? Mountains rise on one side and the valleys sink on the other. And the land is basically tearing itself apart. Now, NASA explains it as a slow motion disaster. The crust is thinning, cracking, splitting into hundreds of faults. And every time that tension releases, we get swarms like the one that was just delivered, Nevada 6.0 earthquake. Now, here's the part that should really keep you awake at night. Swarms like this almost always signal bigger ruptures to come. These quakes are shallow, less than 5 miles deep, which means that the energy slams straight into the surface. Shallow quakes, they don't just shake the ground, they tear it. They rip it apart. They rip apart highways, They can collapse buildings and crack open fissures that you can fall into. Yes, human beings can fall into these holes in the ground. So when scientists say this is not the end, it's only the beginning, they're not just talking about some distant abstract theory. They're talking about what's unfolding right now in Nevada. The swarm, the fissures, the ground splitting before our eyes. And if history is any guide, we may not have seen the biggest one yet. Now, here's where things get even more scary, a little bit more chilling, because Nevada's swarm, that 6.0 quake, the ground splitting open, this ain't just a freak desert story. Scientists are warning that it may be part of a larger global chain reaction. So I want to start with the Cascadia subduction zone. That's the fault that's stretching from North Carolina, from Northern California through Oregon and Washington up into Canada. Now, this has not unleashed a megaquake since the year 1700s, but scientists are saying today that it's now overdue. And overdue doesn't mean a little tremor. It means a 9.0 monster that could flatten cities from Portland to Seattle and send walls of water racing across the Pacific Ocean. The federal government has war gamed this scenario already. In fact, the reports say millions could be left homeless. Infrastructure could collapse. Coastal towns could be completely wiped off the map. Now, if you pair that with the San Andreas Fault, everybody already knows the San Andreas. It runs right through California, right through America's population centers, and scientists used to believe that it could only break in short regional segments. But they studied the massive quake in Myanmar last year, a 7.8 that ruptured in ways that they couldn't even expect. The lesson? The San Andreas could rupture further and harder than previously thought. Translation, the infamous, the big one might actually be bigger than anyone had imagined. But it doesn't stop there, because for decades, scientists told us that the Atlantic Ocean was relatively quiet, calm, stable. That myth just died too. Right now, geologists are warning about a new subduction zone forming off the coast of Portugal in a place called the Horseshoe Abyssal Plain. Now, this is the same region that was tied to the 1755 Lisbon earthquake, an estimated 8.7 magnitude catastrophe that killed tens of thousands and sent tsunami waves across the Atlantic, smashing into the Caribbean. Now, some historians are saying that that event literally reshaped Europe's future. But now, today, scientists think the Atlantic may be gearing up for a repeat. So stop and think about what that means. Nevada, California, Cascadia, the Atlantic, fault lines lighting up across the globe like a chain of firecrackers. We're not talking about some isolated incidents. We're talking about a planet under pressure. This is a world on edge. And so here's why this matters right now. Under President Donald J. Trump's leadership, America is rebuilding its strength. But if Nevada or the broader West takes a direct hit from a 7.7 or an 8.0, the National Guard will be stretched to the breaking point overnight. Picture this, guys. Power lines down for hundreds of miles, dams bursting under seismic shock, highways split in half, cutting off supply chains, military installations, key to our national defense, mind you, completely shaken to the core. And let's not forget the nuclear facilities out west. Are they really quake proof? Like, do you think the bureaucrats in charge prepared for a 7.7 earthquake ripping the desert open? I don't think so. And then the bigger question, what happens if America has to face back-to-back disasters? Imagine a Nevada megaquake followed by a Cascadia rupture, followed by an Atlantic tsunami hammering against the East Coast. Could Florida be impacted? Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina? Virginia, New York City? Who knows? Could even Trump's America First rebuilding plan handle that level of extinction level event? This ain't fear mongering. This is the reality that scientists are quietly whispering. And it's why today's story matters so much, because what just happened in Nevada, it's not just a one-off tremor. It's a red alert on the dashboard. The earth is flashing its warning lights, and ignoring it could be catastrophic. So here we are, guys. We're at the point that nobody wants to face, but we can't ignore it anymore. In fact, that 6.0 quake in Nevada, it wasn't just a tremor. In fact, it wasn't just another line in a USGS report. It was a shot across the bow. Okay. This was a warning shot. Now, for days, Nevada has been hammered by swarms, dozens of quakes, rattling the same area again and again. And then came the 6.0, strong enough to split the ground and remind us that the so-called safe zones in America, they're no longer safe. Folks, if Nevada can tear her open, nowhere is untouchable, right? And here's the part that keeps experts up at night. Swarms like this rarely die quietly. They build, they escalate. The fissures in the desert aren't just cracks in dirt. They are the earth showing us the pressure that's beneath our feet. It's still climbing. Scientists, they're not saying maybe, they're saying this is only the beginning. So let me just go and put this in plain English. If you think this 6.0 was the end of it, think again. This could be the foothill before the mountain, the small jolt before the megaquake that changes everything. And it forces us to ask the bigger questions. Is this just geology, the natural shifting of tectonic plates, or is it something greater? A warning from God that we're entering a season of judgment? Or could it be even darker? Man-made manipulation, underground tests, or systems we don't even understand that are pushing the earth past its limits? Well, The truth is, nobody can give you 100% certainty. But what we do know is that the pace, the scale, the intensity of these quakes, it's not like anything we've ever seen in recent memory. 6s, 7s, even 8s rattling the globe almost weekly, tsunami warnings firing off across the Pacific. Now, even the Atlantic is on alert and America's desert splitting open. So here's the bottom line, guys. What we just saw in Nevada is not the climax. It's the prologue. And the next chapter, it really could come sooner than anybody expects. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you right now. Do you believe that this is just random science? If you do, drop a 1 in the comments. Do you believe it's a warning from God, shaking the nations awake? If you do, drop a 2. Or do you believe that it's something else? Manipulation, testing, maybe a cover up that we're not being told about? Drop a 3. Because no matter where you land, one thing is crystal clear. This is only the beginning. And let me say this, guys. When the next quake hits, and it will, you won't hear the truth from the mainstream media. You're going to hear denial, distraction, excuses. But right here, you're going to get the full breakdown. You're going to get the truth, and you're going to get it first. So do me a favor before you click away. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with someone who needs to wake up before it's too late. The ground beneath our feet is shifting. The cracks are widening. And the question we all have to answer is simple. Are we ready for what comes next? Like, subscribe, share this out, and stay tuned because this story is not ending here. It's only the beginning. We'll see you next time.